You're listening to the Hidden Killers Podcast.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Bruschi.
We are talking with Defense Attorney Arie Shamuilian, and I want to dive into what the future holds here for someone like Lori Vallow. Is this a case where this is a person that's going to be going away forever to a prison system? Or is there some way they're going to look at this and go, yeah, this is not a person that's in their right mind to be there, and actually may present a danger to themselves being there, and they end up institutionalized? I'm just curious. Obviously, she shows competency when she seems to want to, with other times not so much. Arie, what does the future hold for Lori?
You know, there's a realm of possibilities of what could go down. At least for now, her maximum exposure is life without the possibility of any type of parole, obviously. If there's other issues such as mental health issues when she gets transported into jail, they could definitely put her into some type of facility to address those mental health issues. But up until this point, it seems like she's been pretty competent in aiding her defense. So I would find it unlikely that she gets transferred into some type of mental health institution. I think she's going to be spending the rest of her life behind bars.
Seeing what we saw here with her trial and the way that everything played out, and the defense not really having much of a defense other than just on cross, what does it mean for Chad's trial that's yet to be have a date announced?
It's going to be heavy, right? If she goes down, then more than likely Chad is going to go down for the same crimes. Chad seems to be heavier in this case than Lori. And by heavier, I mean more culpable. He sends text messages like, oh, you know, I shot the raccoon and I buried it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they find two bodies in his backyard of his property, with one of the children, Tylee, being dismembered and burned in a fire pit. So I don't think a jury is going to find any remorse for Chad in his trial.
Do you think these two still believe their nonsense? I mean, it's a different question probably for each of them. And I do question if Chad ever believed any of it to begin with. But do you think Lori is still on board with these teachings or these thoughts?
I think so. I think she's a devout believer in what Chad was writing about, and she genuinely believed that the world is coming to some type of end and her children were these zombies, right? Mm-hmm. What other explanation besides the money portion of it is there for wanting to kill two children? It's crazy.
Do you think Chad believed it at all, or was this something where he found an in that worked for communicating with women and the outside world?
I think that's a very interesting point that you mentioned. I didn't even think about it that way, but to some extent, I think Chad does believe his own teachings. I think it's possible that Chad has brainwashed Lori to believing that the kids were zombies. Mm-hmm. But the main question is that belief reasonable?
Yeah.
And I think that's where this test fails. It's not a reasonable belief here.
It's going to be interesting to see where that goes when all that plays out. Can they use elements from the Lori Vallow trial in the trial of Chad Daybell? Like, can they reference testimony or things of that nature, or replay testimony from any of the witnesses that testified in this case over there?
If it falls within one of the hearsay exceptions, then yes, they could bring portions of the testimony to Chad's trial. More than likely what they'll do is they'll start subpoenaing people as witnesses. Mm-hmm. and they'll order them to appear in the trial, and they'll testify there. And if there's any inconsistencies between the two testimonies, they will bring the testimony from Lori's trial and impeach them there in Chad's trial.
What, if any, involvement do you think there was with some of these other characters that we've learned about in this case? Specifically, some of the friends. Zulema, who was the wife of Alex up until his death. There seems to be some interesting correspondence between her and Lori and Chad, and possibly even some of the others as well. Do you think any of them are going to be held accountable or culpable for their role in any of this as time goes on and they look into it further?
I think depending on how these two trials go, we'll see if more parties go down. There's definitely weird things that have been going down in this family with random people all of a sudden dying and people going missing. So it's within the realm of possibility that they're going to be held accountable also.
This is the examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Bruski.
Arie Shamuilian, thank you so much for your insight into the case against Lori Vallow Daybell. We greatly appreciate all of that. If you like the podcast, press subscribe wherever you download so you don't miss any breaking updates and discussions on the cases as we follow them for you right here. I'm Tony Bruski. Stay with us.